Hi, this is History of the Heartland. We're back again with Tim Cain for part 2, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the evolution of the digital media, if you will, the digital media version of the Herald Review.
Anybody who's in the business now and doesn't think that they can pioneer things, I would point them toward my story because there was a point in the late 90s where this internet thing looked like it was going to stick around. It looked like it was going to be more than just people dialing in and playing games and sending emails to each other or sending messages on AOL or whatever. So a lot of newspapers, without really any idea of what they were doing, started putting together websites and just kind of tiptoeing out into that realm. To me, I thought it was fascinating because I thought that's a way that's a whole new way to deliver information, and it eliminates a whole lot of things that can go wrong between me typing something and you actually reading it on a paper at home. You know, I'm eliminating the steps of bad press reproduction. I'm largely eliminating typographical errors or typographical mistakes that would appear in the paper, not necessarily errors, but things that would just look bad, things hyphenated in the wrong place. It would all be there in front of you. And I wasn't worried about sales. I wasn't worried about money, which, unfortunately, a lot of newspaper people looked at it that way.
Yeah.
To me, all of us it's a new communication medium, and we can take advantage of it. And there are things that we can do and things that we can offer that nobody else has. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is, one of the things you're dealing with here, history. Mm-hmm. The century-plus history of this city is contained in the pages of the Herald and the Review. Mm-hmm. And so I was really excited about that. A guy who had kind of started a rough idea of a website for us had taken a job elsewhere. And I really thought that we needed to get out there and get something going. I could take a lot of credit and say that it was because of me that they decided to pay attention and do the thing, but I'm sure that they were already thinking about it, and the fact that they had somebody like me who was so passionate about the idea of it, that okay, well we'll let this guy work on it. And at first it was me and like a committee of employees who were volunteering, and a lot of arguing over what it was and what it could be and what it ought to be. And
what time frame was this?
This is late 90s.
Okay, yeah. Really, the whole web was just emerging at that time. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we were on the web before Springfield and before Bloomington. Mm-hmm. I don't think that we beat Champaign. Champaign was always doing interesting things like selling fax reports and stuff like that. And it was, they had people with really clever ideas. But I also remember talking to a professor at Richland at the time, because he was helping me figure out HTML, which is the language of coding of web pages, and I needed to learn it basically from scratch. Yeah. Because at that time we didn't even have the things that you would type and then it would be the WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get.
Right.
It was, you had to actually type in the coding and then load it and hope it looked right. Yeah. And he said to me, and I said, well, I'm really in a hurry to get, I want to get this up by this date. And he said, in 5 years nobody's going to remember who's out there first. And I'll be damned if he's not right. I mean, I have to remember it myself, but nobody makes a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
So I organized it based on the Indianapolis Star website, which I loved. I spent all kinds of time on it. I went to a week-long class at the Poynter Institute in St. Petersburg, which it's basically a newspaper think tank, and this was all online, and our paper was the smallest of them, and we were batting about ideas and talking about things that we were doing that we could do, and a guy from the Indianapolis Star happened to be there as part of it, so I was able to pick his brain for a really long time at that, and that was nice. And, as a result of that, I interviewed at CNN SI because I ran into a guy, and said, well, I'm looking, and it wasn't. I'm discontented with my job, and I want to. I'm kind of network here to get something. We were just having a pretty blunt conversation, and I said, no, I'm really looking. He said, you should apply. You should apply with us. And we continued to sit there and talk. And I said, it occurs to me I probably should tell you I wasn't fishing there. And he said, I didn't offer you anything. Okay, fair. And we were talking the same language then. Yeah. And then I was able to come back and be even more of an ambassador for it. And the management grew from hostile to indifferent to advocacy eventually. We were trying a lot of things. We had chats with Mark Tupper where people, it would be a chat room where people would type in their questions and Mark would answer them, and I would monitor those, and then we'd have a transcript of it that we'd post.
Right.
It was distinctly unique content that we were getting on the website. After video became more of a thing, I did a thing sitting at my desk where I would just talk for a few minutes about something entertainment related, and sometimes funny, sometimes serious, sometimes playing with the medium, which was fun. Yeah. My favorite one was whether you've seen the video for Bob Dylan's Subterranean Homesick Blues, where he's standing in the alley and he's got the cards that all have words on them, and he's dropping them one at a time, and there's two guys in the background. I wrote a thing about Dylan. I think he had turned 70. And it was Bob Dylan turned 70, and then we had some music, some parody music that we'd found on the internet. And then I was reading over the top of it, and then I was dropping the cards that matched up with things I was saying. And that was one of the videos, and we thought that was really clever, and got a fair amount of bounce off of that. And did a sock puppet show about the recording of the White Album, the Beatles' White Album. It was just that kind of stuff. And then there were podcasts, and we started doing podcasts again in 2017. And when my boss asked me about it, he said, have you done those before? I said, well, which time do you want to talk about? How many times have you done them? We've done 4 different times where we've put that emphasis on it. And I had a blog on the website for 16 years before we just kind of said, I just can't do it anymore. But that's, again, that's what we were talking about earlier with people being able to get the information right now. And I think the thing that all of us are doing now better than we ever have is giving people a chance to see that extra content. Do you want to see a copy of the lawsuit? Well, here's a PDF of it. Click on that and spend as much time with it as you want to. Or you want to look at the health report? Here's this. Do you want to look at the salaries? That's the kind of stuff that's really fascinating for a user, I think. And for me, it just. I had a boss once who said that the reason people get into newspapers is because they are snoops. They want to be the first ones to know what's going on. And I love that the internet allows us to do that. I can know someone's fate more quickly than they do. Because you've heard those stories about like somebody's leaving New York, and then they tweet something terrible, and they land in Africa, and they've lost their job, and the entire world hates them just because of some stupid thing they typed in the airport.
There was a time when you could, there was a continuum, media continuum, from newspaper to radio to TV, where newspaper was more analytical, more reflective. It wasn't as immediate. Always, but it was, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, does that still exist?
I think it does, and I think that's why we have columns that we're now deciding to run on the front page. I mean, those columns are intended, whether it's highfalutin or not. You're intending to help somebody understand their world, help explain something to somebody. I love continuing to write about Decatur Celebration because I've been I feel like I've been really consistent in the story and the message I've been telling about this event for as long as it's gone on. Is it a perfect thing? No. Is it wonderful? No, it's not. It's not always wonderful, but it's not always terrible either. There's a whole ground in there that people who love it and hate it want to ignore. That there are other things there that you could improve about it. I think that we continue to do those kind of things. I think when our sports people write columns, they're it's not I think this, it's I'm seeing this, and this is where I think this is going. And I think that's one of the things that's important. Although all the other mediums that you're talking about have that now anyway, don't they? I mean, you don't have there's not a radio news person who's not also an opinion person. I mean, that goes as far back as Paul Harvey. If he's regarded as a news person, his stuff is all opinion.
Right. But arguably the attention span of the audience is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And so, you can make an argument that everybody's shifting to a more and more abbreviated, version. And maybe the newspaper is still more analytical, but do you have less opportunity to go into things in the depth that you once could? Or?
I would, I think that's true, but that's more a personnel issue than anything else. I still think that
it's not an attention span issue.
I really don't think so, because you look at I don't know how much you know about these YouTube game watching people, where people will sit and watch somebody else play a video game.
Right.
Which is, I did that on my dates, and the girls all hated me. But now people are paying to watch guys and women play video games. So don't tell me about a lack of attention span. They're sitting and staring at this stuff for 8 hours. They obviously are getting something from it, or it's giving them something that they're enjoying. And it's up to the other people, the media people, the newspaper people, to try and figure out something to bat them in the head and get their attention, and maybe fill their heads with something that will make them think a little bit. Not that they're not thinking about these games or anything like that, but our national sport is football, and the games last 3.5 hours, and there's about 7 minutes of action in it. But we all sit glued. Still the majority of people who are watching sports are glued to that. Soccer games are 2 hours and they score 3 goals. But people love watching that stuff.
Right, but look what's happening to baseball, right?
Yeah,
baseball's arguably a slower game, and it's in decline.
As much as people keep telling me that baseball's in decline, I still see those stadiums are full. I still see teams getting 3 million people attending.
You do, but if you look around town,
sure.
50 years ago, every kid was playing baseball. Now they're playing something else.
But they're exclusively playing something else. It's not like back in the day when the kid would play baseball until it was time to play football, until it was time to play basketball, until it was time to run track.
Right.
Those kids are running track all year. Those kids are shooting hoops when they're in the middle of summer. So.
Right.
That's a difference in what society has decided, how society has decided it wants things done. You could still. I'm sure there still have to be any number of kids who do all of them. And then they only do it in high school. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to. That's going to be the thing I've done. And I guess the other side of that is that nobody's athletic career ends when they want it to. It always finishes at least one day before they want it to.
Right. Yeah. Well, very good. Well, thank you.
Anything else, Ann? Okay. Sorry. I want to make sure we were covering our bases.
Very good.